Hi friends, this is Audi1 and you're watching part 13 of the sqli lab series. For those who are confused for the missing 13th part, here it is. But it is advised that once you start watching 12, after 12 watch part 14 and then you can continue. Well, it was a goof up on my part when I was recording the video that I labeled it 14. So let's continue. Today we are going to discuss about time-based and boolean-based SQL injections in the post parameters. So we can just take up lesson 15 or lesson 16. Let's take lesson 15 for today, or even lesson 16 for a change. Okay, so as we see that we have the same username and password field where we need to put something to log in. Let's try admin. Generally admin should work, but as I am using the database that has been used in the past, so somehow the passwords have changed. What we can do, we can just go back and reset the database, so we can start afresh. Okay, that's done, and let's come back and let's do the lab again. Admin, and it says successfully logged in, but we do not see any kind of column being used on the page. Let's try a bad admin and let's say something else. It's a bad password. Now let's try to fuzz it. Let's try single quotes. Nothing happens. Let's try a double quotes. Nothing happens. So that means that we will not be able to get any kind of assistance from MySQL errors, or we will not be able to dump the information on screen. So we have to rely on the blind injections. So let's try to build up a blind query, and let's try to comment the remaining part, and let's see, or let me use hash. I prefer using hash in the post injections, but you can use anything. Let's try this out. Did not work. So let's try and check if there is a parenthesis around. Bingo. So the injection looks like double quotes, a parenthesis, that's the left side, and a hash on the right side to comment, and whatever we put in between gets injected. Well, for sake of viewing pleasure, let me just clear the cached data. So that we don't get the cached queries. Okay, and we logged in. We can do it in another way. We can just say, rather than using a hash, we can also use the parenthesis here and for the sake of mapping them together, we can use it even here. And now we have to inject I hope you are getting what I'm doing here. Again the same result. So let's come back to it and just use a hash, and anything we inject in between will be evaluated. Now in this case we can either use the boolean based injection or we can use the time based injection. Why is that so? Well, as this is a login form, so we will always have a visual. If we are successfully able to make a query, then it logs in. Like if the query returns true, we log in. So there would be a redirect and you would be logging in. If the query would be false, you will just get a message that you cannot log in or there will not be a redirect. So in case of post parameter injections, when you are working with blind, in that case definitely you can work with the boolean based injections, and for sure the time based injections work. Let's check it, and sleep, and give it a parameter of 15 so that it waits for 15 seconds, and let's see, and we failed. But why did we fail? Can someone tell me? Now we are waiting. But why it did not work when I used an AND statement? Well, in case of AND, both the queries should return a true. So if we go back on the drawing board, and let's try to imitate the query. Select column 1, column 2 from table where user name equals, now here I am using the parenthesis and then the double quotes, some data, and password is equals some data. So if we look at the injection and we try to put the injection in there, so it eventually becomes select column 1, column 2 from table where username is either a blank string, an empty string, or sleep for 15 seconds. When we say or replace this or with an AND, Now this will work if this is returned true. How? Let's check it. Let's put it here, and this should return a false, so sleep will not take effect, and you see there is no effect. But yeah, if we use here, and if we just copy paste this, so it becomes username is either admin, that is a true, admin exists, and sleep 15. So that means both sides would be valid. Let's check, and you see there is a waiting for localhost, and it's going to wait for 15 seconds. You see this circle showing that page is loading, and it's going to load now. Now I would leave the remaining enumeration to you. Or let's do one thing, let's do some basic injections. Generally with these kind of injections, if we are doing a time based, we can use an if statement, and if we say 1 equals 1, let's use the AND statement here. If 1 equals 1, comma, sleep 10, comma, null. Let's copy it here, and let's see. We see that we evaluated 1 equals 1. That means the page is going to load in 10 seconds. Let's do some logical query. Instead of 1 equals 1, we can use database and we know the name of the database, so let's just do it quick. Security, and this should return true. And because of the true, we are just waiting. We can also use the substring and the ASCII function to take out each character by character as mentioned in the previous videos, and you can dump the complete database. Now to do it on a boolean based, I leave it to you guys how you can proceed with the boolean based, because you have a successful login and a failure login. Giving you a simple hint, in a boolean we can just remove this if statement and we can use select database equals security. And let's enclose it in the brackets. This should give you a successful login. What did I do? Oh, the syntax error. You see, we successfully logged in. That means our statement that we mentioned is correct. So again, you see that if you think logically and you are sure that the syntax that you're using is correct, the injections will work. This is all for this video. Thank you very much. And guys, I would request you to leave feedbacks. Thank you.